Holy moly, our software stock's getting destroyed right now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the software apocalypse that's happening right now. We're maybe going to do the rare thing that some people don't want to do, and we might go buy some of them and buy them on this deep, deep dip right now. Take a look at the charts real quick. This is IGV. This is a software ETF. This software ETF is getting absolutely eviscerated right now. From all-time high to where we are now at is now down 35%. That might not sound like a lot, but it actually is a lot for a freaking ETF, guys. There's a basket of software companies in here. If we take a look at Palantir, Palantir is a software stock. And who would have thought that the big bad Palantir, the big bad Alex Karp, was going to take a haircut? His stock was going to go down what? Oh, yeah. From peak to trough, Palantir is now down about 35%. I'm not saying it's a bad company, but maybe there's reasons why it's going down and reasons why all these software stocks are going down, and we're going to talk about it. But definitely taking a haircut right there. Geez, I don't even want to talk about Salesforce. Salesforce is getting a major haircut, now down 53%. 53% from all-time highs. Very big haircut. ServiceNow, if we take a look at this bad boy, ServiceNow from all-time high to right now is down 60%. Who would have thought that this stuff was actually going to fall this much? And if we look at Adobe, I won't even be mean. I'm going to go off of the high point right here. Right at the top, you could see it. To where we're at right now, Adobe is now down 63%, as if the company's like, people think the company's just going to go out of business, apparently. And Microsoft is the last one that we're going to talk about. Actually, there's a few more that we're going to talk about, but Microsoft's the last one for right now. This bad boy from all-time high to where we're at right now is now down about 28%. Not as much, but it's still down. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to fundamentally break down each company and figure out which one of these has huge opportunity to capitalize and buy into right now. And then we'll end the video. It's really that simple. So you probably want to start out with Palantir first. So that's fine. We could do Palantir first. We'll go through it. It's been a while since I went through Palantir because a lot of stuff is changing right now. So you guys know I'm a fundamental investor. You guys know that I care about the revenue, the profits, the valuation, the economy, the real stuff that actually matters out there in the real world, not charts and, Fibonacci's and patterns and drawing lines and doing origami and doing 5 different shapes and saying something's going to happen. I care about the fundamentals. And the fundamentals on Palantir are impeccable. The earnings per share growth is very, very strong. The revenue growth, I don't even have to say anything about it. It's been going to the moon. We all agree that Palantir's growth is astronomical. Great company, great leadership, but guess what's happening right now? They're taking a little bit of a haircut. And there's 2 main reasons why. One of them is justified. One of them, we have a question mark behind it for right now, but we're going to figure it out if we allocate to Palantir right now. Looking at from the top, revenue growth 56% year over year is very strong. Earnings per share growth 83% year over year, which is of course very, very strong. Just looking at that though, does not tell us if we're getting into Palantir at a good price, because you guys all know you got to get a good company at a good price to make it a good investment. Just having a good company at a bad price does not make it a good investment. You need to get a good company at a good price to make it a good investment. Palantir is trading at 174 times trailing earnings. Is that a good price? No. Even with the dip that we're getting right now, it went from 200 to 130. It's still not a good price, guys. It's still expensive. Palantir can fall another 50% from right now. And again, I want to be very, very clear. This is not a bad company. There's just too much hype and too much euphoria behind it. And now the valuation level is coming back to earth. And the other part, which could truly crush the business, like crush, like really bad, is what AI is doing to software companies. And Palantir, at the end of the day, is a software company. Now, do I really think that Palantir is going to get crushed by AI? No, I don't think it's actually going to happen because they're just so far ahead with AI. They knew that this is coming. They are embracing AI. And it's not like every single software company is just going to die. Some definitely will. And some that we talked about right here are very possible to die, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Palantir is one of them that is not going to die, in my opinion. So here's the play on Palantir. The play is do nothing. The play is wait for a better valuation level. And I was saying that through this whole run up right here. I was saying that through this whole part up here. And I'm still saying that right here. Because Palantir at 174 times trailing earnings, it's just too much for me. I can't do it. A company with this revenue growth and this earnings per share growth, with how strong of a company they are, you can maybe fetch a price earnings ratio level of somewhere around 50 for it, in my opinion, which that would be like, a factor of 3 lower. So Palantir's somewhere around like 50 or $60 a share right now could be a good deal. Is it going to fall to that? I don't know, but it's not even close to my buy range right now. So even though it's a good company, it's not at a good price. Therefore, I'm not going to buy it. So Palantir's out. That software company I'm just not going to allocate to. But geez, oh man, this one's been crazy, Adobe. We already talked about on chart before, but Adobe's getting smoked really hard. Meanwhile, earnings per share is going up and to the right. And there's actually something that most people don't notice about why this could be one of the biggest generational opportunities that you could ever invest in right now. And I'm not even messing with you. Look at this. You could see that the hollow little gray circle right here is the estimate, and then the green one is where they actually report. So you could see that because Adobe has a lot of recurring revenue, there's a lot of predictability in the revenue and the profits. So when there's a lot of predictability, they're usually pretty close to, hey, we estimate for this, we're probably going to get this. Companies guide a little bit lower and then they try to beat the numbers so it looks good. They don't guide to miss. So they've been doing really good in basically overlapping expectations versus reality. But what's now happening is that reality is EPS is growing, but expectations are now way below it because it's like, dude, AI is going to crush their business. They are screwed right now. But meanwhile, they just keep producing numbers. EPS continues to grow, revenue continues to grow, and the stock is going in the opposite direction. So you're probably wondering right now, you say, Brandon, doesn't EPS move the price of stock in the long term? You are a liar. Why is it not happening right now? Because there's a huge discrepancy. And one of two things is going to happen with Adobe. Either the market's going to be correct and EPS is eventually going to roll over and go down and it's going to start to follow where the stock went, or the market's going to be wrong and EPS is going to continue to grow and Adobe's going to continue to adopt AI and embrace it, and then the stock is going to have a face ripper rally. So we take a look at the chart and we go to the big bad Adobe. I mean, you could see that Adobe's down 63%. If the market starts to price this stock a little bit more realistically, the stock could easily go up 100% from right now and double and go somewhere around the 460 level. And if the stock were to double, fundamentally speaking, it's going to go from a price earnings ratio level of 10 to a price earnings ratio level of 20, which is still not bad when you're considering you're getting 11% revenue growth and 15% earnings per share growth. That's really not that bad. That would be basically fair value if you ask me. I mean, again, look at Palantir. It's 174 times earnings. Adobe is literally 10. Like, insane, the difference of valuation right there. Of course, Palantir has better growth, but there's still value in Adobe in my opinion. So the play right now in Adobe is going to be this. We could potentially allocate, but only a very, very small percent of our portfolio. Because even though our thesis might be correct that EPS continues to grow, that doesn't mean the market's going to immediately appreciate that and then say, okay, we're going to price the stock higher. You got to be able to weather the storm in a lot of volatility. So if you do anything, which is what I do anyways, I buy shares planning to hold them for many years. I sell portfolio secure puts planning to hold them for many years. Usually 2-year sold puts is what I do, and 2-year calls that I buy is usually what I do, because it gives time for our thesis to play out. Because even though we thought that Adobe was maybe cheap right here, the stock still went down over the course of the few months, right here. So if you give yourself 2 years, you have a chance of, like, way more chance that your thesis will be right, the stock rebounds higher, you make money, blah, 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 you get it. So that's the potential for Adobe right there. Now, the next 2 stocks are the ones that I am most bullish on. The last one I'm obviously the most bullish on. Well, we'll talk about it. Next one's going to be Salesforce. Here's the deal. Kind of like Adobe, right? You notice the disconnect of earnings per share estimates versus earnings per share actual, what they report. It's pretty freaking crazy if you ask me. And this is another company that has a lot of recurring revenue, a lot of predictability in the numbers. So that's why they usually it's like clockwork, EPS going up and to the right, and it's just a little bit above the estimates. But analysts are like, no, AI is going to crush the business. But the actual business of Salesforce itself is saying, no, dude, our profits are still growing and our revenue is still growing. So we're doing okay. And when you're getting 23% year-over-year earnings per share growth on the back of 9% revenue growth for 13 times trailing earnings, which is a 13 PE, it's really not too bad of a deal, right? And just to send this home, like we'll send it home on Adobe real quick before we go into the other one. What it means when Adobe's trading at 10 times trailing earnings is this. If you were to pull $92 billion out of your pocket somehow and say, I want to go buy all the shares of Adobe and just buy the company outright and take it private, and you own the entire company. With the profits that they're kicking off right now, it's going to take you 10 years to get your initial investment back. Just 10 years. So if you buy the company, you sit on it for 10 years, assume that the profits don't change, it's just the same profits for the next 10 years. After 10 years, you'll get your $92 billion back, and then all the money going forward from there is just free money. It's kind of compelling right now, right? I mean, it's a bet that Adobe's not going to go bust in the next 10 years. Is it possible? Sure, of course, but it's unlikely. You know, Adobe does a lot more than what AI could actually go create in the, you know, Photoshop space and stuff like that. They have Acrobat, they have, you know, various other programs, and sure, it's not the whole business, but, you know, these valuation levels are getting kind of compelling. And going back into Salesforce a little bit more, though, Salesforce is a company that basically customer resource management. And what that means is it just helps businesses manage themselves for the most part. And Mr. Market, all the investors out there think that for some reason Salesforce is not going to adopt AI. They're not going to build AI agents to just incorporate even more into their systems. And for whatever reason, people think that AI is just this perfect thing right now. I mean, I have a Mac Mini sitting right next to me. I have OpenClaw. I have Claude Code going. I have various agents running for me doing stuff. While they are very helpful, they are totally not like a, you know, autonomous human. They break, they mess up, you tell them to do something, they still mess up. It is not ready yet, but of course it will be ready at some point. And the companies that already have a leg up, one step ahead of the game, is companies like Salesforce that now have the customers, they have the platform. Now, hey, how do we incorporate AI into this to make it so good that our sticky customers with recurring revenue are not going to have any incentive to switch? And that's what's likely to happen, and that is exactly what's happening. So Salesforce is number 2 on my list of bullishness for software companies. They have a moat, they have pricing power for now. AI is not going to crush them as bad as what people think, and the valuation level, it's hard to look past it if you ask me. So that's Salesforce. Now the next one is going to be ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a similar company as Salesforce, but think of ServiceNow more as like an HR, like a more of just a business that helps you manage more of the business and your customers also and your employees too. ServiceNow does a lot of that stuff. And again, guys, the stock has been getting pummeled right here. Just craziness how far the stock went down. But maybe it was justified. We'll talk about that in a second. But notice the same trend with the earnings per share estimates versus the actual. You could see, you know, they get a lot of recurring revenue also like the other software companies. They guide, they beat a little bit, guide, beat a little bit, just clockwork going up and to the right. But you notice the estimates are very, very crappy, but then they're just smoking the estimates because analysts are like, dude, AI is going to crush the business, but it has yet to crush the business. So I still expect good numbers to come from a company like ServiceNow. You know, revenue growth, you know, you can't debate this with me. The revenue growth is good. You know, we have 21% revenue growth year over year, and we have earnings per share growth of 26% year over year, which is good. Now, while you are paying a little bit higher valuation level for ServiceNow, it's not bad if you ask me. So am I sitting here saying that any of these companies are going to be table pounder buys right now? No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there's definitely some opportunity here. And if you have the patience and you do your research and really understand what companies are going to make it and which ones aren't, you could make a lot of money if you're patient. So to simplify, Palantir is too expensive. Adobe, I don't know if they have a moat, so I'm not going to allocate. Salesforce, I might allocate. ServiceNow is my highest conviction one to allocate to. Doesn't mean I'm going to allocate. I'm not allocated at all to any of these right now. I'm just covering this so that you guys have a gauge of why these software stocks are falling and why a lot of it is honestly justified. Because think about it. ServiceNow is at $89 a share right now. Up here it was at $234 a share. So the price earnings ratio level was probably like 75 times earnings right there. Dude, it's not justified to trade at 75 times earnings with similar revenue and earnings per share growth. You can see it was basically similar growth as what it is right now. The stock was just simply overvalued, and then this AI thing came along that crushed it, and now the stock is correcting lower to where it should actually be trading at. And, another stock that I covered in a video prior to this one is going to be Microsoft, which is like, software stock partially. There's opportunity in Microsoft right now too. So if you want to go watch that video, I strongly recommend that you just go click the video right before this one. It'll help you out a lot. But at the end of the day, price is what you pay and value is what you get. And as long as you invest in a good company at a good price, you're going to do okay in the long term as long as they keep growing their profits. Now, good company, that's a company with a moat, which a lot of these software companies do not have a moat now because AI could crush them. Companies that have pricing power, do a lot of these software companies have pricing power? No, because if AI comes along and it could do it for, better, cheaper, and safer, you're not going to be able to go raise your price. So a lot of them don't have pricing power. Do they have a durable competitive advantage? Some do, some don't. I think that Salesforce and ServiceNow do. But does Adobe have that? Probably not. Does Palantir have that? Yeah, I think they do. But Palantir, it's too expensive still. So my most convictive one is going to be ServiceNow and Microsoft out of the ones that we talked about here today. And if you want to allocate, that's my thesis high level, but I recommend you go do your own research because dabbling in the software space is going to be very tough. So that's the video. If you want to learn more about my option system, watch this video right here. It's going to help you out a lot, and I'll see you guys there.